What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another KJ Lifestyle video. We are here with Mr. Scott Powell Real Estate and his 2023 BMW M240. And today we're going to be taking care of this guy right here. So we got the Dinan intake. It was one of the most recommended ones that we were looking into. So we're going to be installing that. I might just set up the camera and get to work before it starts raining, because in classic South Florida fashion, we don't know how much time we have outside. All right, so to start, what we're gonna do is we have a little plug right here. Gonna unplug that, then probably start with this clamp right here. There is one screw up here. Do you remember what that was called? It's like a little
resonator.
All right, it's the intake resonator. So maybe that makes the blow off a little bit quieter, because you can buy a cap to put over this and kind of take that box out. Then from there, I think we have to unclip the intake box, take out the filter, and then we should just be able to pull straight up on the intake box and make sure that we get those 3 rubber grommets, but we'll get to that once we take it off. Now that we have the intake resonator and the filter out, we're going to try to work on these little clips right here. I think you might have to wiggle these around to get them to pop out, and then we should be able to just pull straight up. But once again, you have to be very careful about the rubber grommets so you don't lose one in the bottom of the engine. After we get that sorted, we're going to work on the turbo intake right here to try to get this off the boot. So one quick thing we wanted to touch on before we put the Dinan box in. So luckily these 2 grommets didn't come out, so we were able to find those. This one came off on the old intake box, but you just have to make sure that you find this and kind of slide it down below these 2 prongs right here, and then obviously there's a little like nub you got to push down into the hole. Alright, so we just got the intake boot off, or the turbo boot. As you can see right here, we got everything open. So now we're just going to prep up the new intake tube right here. So we're going to have to take off the little clip from the OEM one, put it on the Dinan one, and then all we got to do is put the band clamp on there, put the whole box down, set it down as one unit, plug it in, put on the cone, and we should be good to go. Now we're putting on the little band clamp on the stock intake boot, or the turbo inlet, I should say. And make sure when you put this on, you kind of turn that screw for the clamp all the way around, or else you're not going to have enough space. In one of the other videos, it looked like he had the screw up here and used a really long extension to go behind these hoses over here, but I think this is going to be the easiest way, and then we can just set the entire box down on it, and then screw it in the same way. Now that we got this all ready to go, what we're going to do is prep the intake box. All you got to do is slide that piece in there just like that, and then you can see the 3 screw holes on this side, and we're going to use the big washers. We noticed that it also came with little washers, but we think that's for the if you have the carbon fiber one, just because there's a hole coming out the other side and you need a bolt for this. All right, so now we got the screws going into the intake box, and now we're about to set it down and then screw it down over here, plug it in, put on the cone, and then we're pretty much done after we put that cap on. All right, so it turns out we do need a bunch of extensions. This is a 7mm, right? Yeah, 7mm, and we're gonna feed it all the way back behind here. And as if you can see, we turned the clamp over here so we can reach it. I'm just gonna hold that down while he tightens it, and then only thing else left to do is put that cone on, and we're good to go. Right, so we just tightened this clamp down. This doesn't have to be too tight because once again this is a plastic piece, and don't worry about seeing these little gaps right here at the top of the rubber grommet, just because that's a lot bigger. So as it gets clamped down, the top of it might kind of butterfly open, but just know that this is tight and that is not going anywhere. So now we're just gonna plug that little clip back in and then work on the cone. Dinan is pretty unique in how they do their cones. This is a triangular cone, and they claim that it is 40% better than the circle ones. So I don't know the statistics about that, but it looks pretty cool, I guess. All right guys, so we do have the we got the intake cone on now, as you can see. So we have to do it with this little metal bar up, just because it is tilted up a little bit. The other thing that's really tricky is that this is all oiled, because this is an oiled filter. So this is extremely slippery. So as somebody's tightening down, you're gonna have to take a flathead and kind of push down on it, or push back on it so it doesn't slide off. But we got it on there nice and tight. Now all we have to do is put the cap on, and then we're good to go. All you gotta do is place that over the top just like this, line up the holes, and then you got these little black clamps, so you just gotta push down. Just like that. And that's it. So this is the finished product with the cover on. It looks, as Scott was saying, it looks very factory. Like if we got the carbon one, it would be like a lot of shine. Like, yeah, it would look cool, but this definitely looks a lot more factory. Now we're gonna start the car up and see how it sounds. Alright, so we're going for the first ride. We're gonna see if we can get some turbo noise without getting too much wind. Oh,
that's on the up.
Yeah, because that's the blow off.
They're not gonna be able to hear it on the camera.
I know. It's gonna be really hard to hear because it's a very windy day here in South Florida. Alright, that one you may have been able to hear. That was some flutter. Yeah, you get a lot more of that the blow off, because on the stock intake it had that blow off resonator almost. The guy wants it. A much higher pitch like whistle than it was before. I don't know if that's because it's louder or it's sucking in more air maybe.
Oh yeah, you can definitely hear it.
I don't know if the camera's gonna be able to pick that up, but it's a much higher pitch
like
whistle.
As I'm on the gas, like you could hear it like spooling.
Ooh, that was a loud one, yeah. It's definitely a lot louder when you're lower or higher gear, lower RPMs, when it's really building boost. That's when it's the loudest. You get a lot of flutter too. Lower end. Flutter. that concludes the Dinan intake video. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We are loving this intake so far. There's not that many other options for intakes for the 2023 M240, but the Dinan one definitely was on top, so very glad we decided to go with this one. Install was very easy. I'd say probably only took us about 45 minutes to do, even with looking at the video. There's one other video on YouTube, and the instruction manual from Dinan online really wasn't too bad. Like 2 hose clamps, couple of screws. The box just pushes in, which obviously, if you guys know, I had the Kia Stinger. The AFE intakes were a lot more difficult because you had to pull out the little grommets. It was a whole different ordeal, but 2023 BMW M240 intake is done. Stay tuned for the next video. Might look at doing some tuning, maybe a downpipe, so stay tuned for that. Till next time, guys, remember to be kind, be happy, and be grateful. We'll see you in the next one.
I can't put it down.